everyone, welcome back to another Moon Update collective reading. Today we are having a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. So as many of us know, the sign of Sagittarius is a very optimistic energy. Sagittarius is all about expanding knowledge, learning, traveling, big picture thinking, like sky is the limit. So it can be associated with not only physical travel, but also traveling of the mind, expansion of knowledge, of education. So these could be themes that are going to be coming up for us during this time. However, because of other problematic transits, it could be that we are really optimistic about something, really, planning something out and being super excited and super happy about it, but maybe something doesn't really go as planned, or we may experience some setbacks. And the negative side of Sagittarius is sometimes, this energy tends to be like overly optimistic, where maybe it over extends itself. Having that Jupiterian energy with it, it's like you want to put your hands in everything and you say yes and you're excited, but then you might realize like, oops, I think I overbooked myself, or I'm trying to do way too much. I need to scale it back. Or again, like if you're overly optimistic about something, or you might be seeing something or perceiving something through rose-colored glasses. For example, you're going shopping and you're in the moment, you're happy, and you overspend. And then later on, you're like, oops, I think I overdid it. Like I spent way too much money. Maybe I shouldn't have invited everyone. Maybe I shouldn't have taken the tab, for the whole party, whatever it is. Where you just start thinking like, maybe that purchase wasn't the smartest. So it can go like either way, where you're really planning for something, setting your sights on something big, right? This is the time to like set your sights on something big, so that you can start like moving towards it and making the plans. And you could probably see something really coming into fruition in about 6 months' time when we have the full moon in Sagittarius. If you're diligent and responsible and you learn everything you need to learn, or possibly maybe you're in the teaching position, or you could be, again, this is an energy that's really tied to education. So maybe some of us are like going back to school, or just learning something new, learning our way around something. But then like the downside could be that something doesn't go your way, something doesn't go as planned, like a wrench gets thrown in the plan somehow, and then, you get really down about it. And maybe you kind of like play the victim a little bit. So yeah, just all things to be mindful of. It's just like a general vibe check according to the astrology. But as you guys know, I've mentioned before, not to read too much into the astrology, even though I have to say that it's so accurate. I don't know, in my experience, the astrology is always so on point. And that's coming from someone that isn't like super into it, because I feel like astrology is something that's so fixed. And that's what I don't love about it, For example, like we're about to have a Mercury retrograde on the 13th. Which is the day following this new moon. And a lot of people will, like really take that into consideration and be like, oh my gosh, like I can't travel, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, because it's a Mercury retrograde. Because astrology is something that you can really like look into, like what's going to be going on in the sky way ahead of time. People can see like what the stars and the planets are going to be doing, what they're going to be transiting and aspecting in 10 years, So it is something that's very fixed, something that you can track. But I just don't believe that we should kind of like, I don't know, like live our lives by it. Because in my opinion, the reason why astrology is so accurate is because it is part of what's holding this matrix together. But the point of spirituality is to transcend this matrix, right? To transcend above it so that we are no longer being influenced by it. Astrology is just a system like any other, and I think the goal is always to like liberate ourselves and be true sovereign beings. So yes, the astrology is super accurate. I really do believe that. I think it's super beneficial to know what's going on. And I have to say that the tarot is very heavily linked to the astrology. And oftentimes, very, very often, the tarot reflects what's going on in the astrology, especially for these collective moon updates that I do. It's something that I noticed, whether it's beforehand, after the fact, while I'm editing, like I always notice like little synchronicities like that. And it's because they are linked. So the tarot is just reflecting the validity of the astrology. But I just like the tarot so much more because it's random. Like I think it's more random. It's not fixed, I set the intention. I work together with my spirit team to get the message. And then, I randomly pull out cards and I read what's on my table. So it's not really something that's like so fixed or permanent. So when that reflects the astrology, like that's what I really think is so cool. And it's just one of the ways that I've been able to see how things connect, how everything eventually connects. If you dig deep enough, you start seeing the oneness in everything, in all, whatever it is. It could be anything, any subject, any topic. Eventually you'll see how it all connects. You'll see the oneness of it, which is like so fascinating to me. So yeah, all that to say, do I believe in the astrology? Yes, that's why I incorporate, the little vibe checks. I think it's beneficial. But do I also think that it's a system like any other that needs to be transcended? Yes, I also think that. So I try not to like get too deep into like the astrology, and I'd rather just see like what spirit has to say, what the cards are telling me. And it's all a joint effort, it's spirit, it's the spirit of the tarot as well. I like to refer to her as Lady Tarot, and it's me, We're all working together here to impart these messages. But anyway, let's just get right into the collective reading. So let's see, with this moon, what Spirit would like to talk to us about, what Spirit wants to highlight for this moon cycle. What are things we need to hear right now, that we should know right now, to help us navigate this time. I would love to know how you're all feeling. I know this time of year tends to be very busy. I've been so busy, oh my goodness, as I'm sure you all are as well. And I also have a trip coming up in true Sagittarian fashion, It's so funny because I know like so many people that are traveling right now. And that's something else, like that's what I mean, like the astrology, like it doesn't lie, Even people that are not into astrology, it's just like, it's always there, like playing its little role, influencing. I literally booked this trip on the day like that the sun moved into Sagittarius, and it had completely kind of slipped my mind. But it's so funny because I literally opened my eyes. The first thing I did when I woke up was grab my laptop and book this trip. And it wasn't until like later on that I realized like, oh, it's Sagittarius season. How funny, like how fitting. So that's what I mean, kind of like the astrology, like it's there. You can't really deny it, in my experience anyway. That's my opinion. But I think that we do have to be like aware too. Like we can't adhere too much to it or like let it make decisions for us, or you have to make sure that you're like in control of yourself and you're taking responsibility and, you're in the driver's seat of your life. You know what I mean? By the way, don't look at my nails. Oh my gosh. They're horrendous right now. Literally the first thing I'm going to do after I'm done homeschooling my kids tomorrow is go to the nail salon. So, just don't pay attention to them. Don't look at them. Okay. Interesting. I think I'm going to pull one more from this deck. And then we'll get right into it. us. There we go. That even. Okay, so let's see. What do we have here? So Spirit is just really highlighting the need for us to step into our power, to feel strong, to feel confident within ourselves and our convictions and in what we believe, what we know works for us, because we're living it, we're experiencing it. It's not something that we're like guessing. It's like, I know this is what works for me. So maybe that's why I was like telling you guys everything I was telling you in the beginning, because it's like some people don't believe in astrology or tarot. They think this stuff is just delulu, delusional. And that's fine. That's totally valid for people not to want to take these things into consideration when it comes to their lives. Like they could just be like, I'm sorry, but like the astrology just absolutely does not affect me. It doesn't influence me. I don't resonate with anything, with any of that. And that would be totally valid, for that individual or for those individuals that feel that way, because they probably have like their own, way of life, their own structures, their own like order, what works for them, what they do resonate with. And I think that's the point of life, is like to find what that is for you. And in our unique ways, that's how we connect to God's plan, or how we move in flow with the Tao, even if it's not like apparent to you that that's what's happening. It's like being able to stay true to you, to yourself, and how you experience life, and how you make your decisions, how you make your choices, what your circumstances are, what you choose to consider, so on and so forth. So Spirit wants you to get like really confident within yourself and just really responsible, Like I'm hearing, don't blame, stop pointing the finger and stop doing the blame game. We have to stop blaming people for things and just understand that everyone is on their own unique journeys. Everyone has their own, spirit team, spirit guides. Some people choose to align to their highest potential, and it's very possible that some others don't. Like there's so many life like lessons, like big lessons, soul lessons that can literally take lifetimes. There are specific points, areas in the astrology, in the astrological wheel, that literally pinpoint like very difficult times that can take a soul lifetimes to overcome. So it's like you don't know where someone is on their soul journey or what it is that their soul is working towards. That's why we each just have to be responsible for ourselves and just trust that every individual, like, they're where they need to be. They're exactly where they need to be. Spirit is working with them how they need to be working with them. Maybe they're, that's their karma. Like whatever it is that they're doing, it's their karma. It's just the way it needs to be for that person. And we shouldn't try to like sway other people to think like us. We shouldn't judge other people for like the decisions that they make, how they choose to live their lives, what they choose to believe in. And we shouldn't play the blame game. We shouldn't start pointing the finger and like blaming someone else. Like Spirit is saying you have to take responsibility for yourself. And that's what I was saying too. Remember I said like in the beginning that you can go either the high road of like seeing the bigger picture and making moves and making plans towards that in a very diligent, responsible way, or you can kind of play victim. And this is, I think, a crossroads that a lot of us are finding ourselves in, or at least those of us that are tuned in here today, because it's what I'm seeing here in the cards. So it's what Spirit wants me to communicate to you guys. So, yeah, like it's saying like, are you going to stay stuck? Are you going to stay stuck thinking that like you don't have power in the situation, that you're helpless? Because you're not. Like Spirit wants you to know that you're not helpless. You always have power. there's always something you can do to get yourself out of whatever you perceive to be a difficulty. It's in your hands. It's just a matter of you having the awareness, taking that responsibility, being accountable for yourself, and knowing that everyone has like a role to play in our lives, whether they played the villain or whether they played a friend, whether they were friend or foe. It played its role for you in some way, and it's asking you to like see that, like see it in that perspective versus like, well, you did this to me and you're the reason that I'm in this position, or you're the reason that I feel like this, or whatever it is, It's understanding like, you know what? Maybe you did hurt me. Maybe, you played a big role in where I'm at today and like how I handle my problems and who I am. A good example of this, oh my gosh, yes, with the past life healing card. A good example of this, oh, there's like this little auntie here. Go away, little auntie. Let me get you. I don't want to hurt you. Come here. Go. Be free. Just get off my table. Okay. I think it stayed on my arm and I don't know where it went. Oh my goodness. Anyway. Oh, there it is. It's on my hand. Go be free. All right, so like I was saying, yes. So this has, I think, a perfect example for this would be like a lot of our parents, like how they raised us. Like a lot of our parents, maybe they weren't super spiritual, or they had very limiting beliefs because of whatever their experience was, how they were raised, how they learned how to perceive life. It's all kind of like a chain reaction. This is what generational trauma or curses like is, you know what I mean? For example, like me in particular, I've always been like a very timid person, very shy. Like I don't like to speak up. I don't like to rock the boat. I would just rather like stay quiet, and I was very obedient to like whoever I perceived to be the authority. And, I just never really wanted to cause trouble. And I was always aware of like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, or like, I have to be careful with what I say. I was basically just like a people pleaser to the max, And when I try to stem back, like, why am I like this? You know what I mean? Now that I'm an adult, like, that shit ain't cute, like I'm a whole ass adult. I'm a mother, I've never had a problem like speaking up when it comes to my children. I turn into mama bear real quick, but like once you're an adult, it's like you can't, that's not useful anymore, or it was never useful, but like it's hindering me now, like it got to the point where I realized like it was hindering me. It wasn't letting me progress, And it's something that I'm still working on, honestly. It's ongoing. But when I really stem back to like, why am I like this, Why is it so hard for me to like just speak up sometimes, or just express myself, or why, I look back and it's because my parents were both immigrants that came to this country and had to like really learn the language and learn the system. And I think my mother especially, like she felt very inferior, and she felt like maybe very like insecure. And so I think I noticed those behaviors from her, like that this is how she navigates life, is like with that energy of just like, of course, this is how I was perceiving it, like that there's something to be afraid of, or, like just don't make a lot of noise, just like do what you have to do, don't make a ruckus, get to where you need to get to, do what you need to do, follow the rules so that, you don't bring attention to you. I think it was just like a fear of confrontation because, again, like she didn't know the language, and she was probably just afraid of having to deal with people or talk to people because like she didn't really know how to do that. And it maybe made her feel like insecure in some way. And because that's what I observed growing up, I think that has a big role, like it's a big reason why I kind of took on those qualities, even though like I'm not in her shoes. Like that wasn't my situation. Those weren't my circumstances. And there was really no need for me to take on that worldview about like life and how to navigate it, you know? But it was just something that was kind of like, it influenced me because it's what I saw. Another example is, you know, growing up, I was like a very rambunctious child, according to my dad. Like I had so much, I still do. I still have so much energy all the time. I'm like the Energizer bunny, but I would be like bouncing off the walls and just like my dad would tell me that I was always laughing and happy and just like joyous. And he would call me la alegría de la casa, which is like the joy of the house. My mom, like she would have to do my hair every day. And again, I was a very rambunctious kid, so I was not aware of my hair, you know, and like how messy it was getting and tangled and knotty and crazy. And I have thick curly hair, you know, so she'd be like, oh my goodness. Like when she would see me after school, she's like, what happened? What happened to your hair? You know, because she knew that she was the one that had to wash it and detangle it. And it would take her a long time and she's tired, you know, from her day, from her work day. So she would always complain about my hair. It was like a thing, you know, where it was like, oh my God, your hair is so bad. Your hair is the worst. And it was just something that I constantly heard. So I grew up thinking that I had really terrible hair. Like I just thought my hair is the worst hair ever. And I hated my hair because of it. So we reach a point eventually where it's kind of like you can blame your parent. You know, I could blame my mom like, well, I had poor self-esteem issues because of you. You always told me my hair was bad and I grew up to believe it. Or I'm shy and I'm timid and it's hard for me to express myself sometimes and to come out of my shell because of you, because of how you were and what I saw you, how I saw you navigate life. Or you can kind of like forgive people, like forgive your family, forgive whatever it was that they did and how they influenced you to be, you know, to have these things that you feel insecure about or that you feel helpless about. You could forgive them because you know that they're that way for a reason too. That was passed down to them as well. And you can just kind of learn to see the humanity in them and be like, you know what, I'm not going to blame you for that. Yeah, that happened to me. I'm valid in my experience, but I forgive you. You didn't do that on purpose. That's how you were raised. Or those were your circumstances. That was your experience and that was very real for you too. And it affected me, but I'm at the point right now where I have to take responsibility over myself. At the end of the day, that was my karma. That was something that happened to me and that I now have to take responsibility over, breaking free of, transcending, again, liberating myself of. Are you going to take the responsibility for yourself? Or are you going to like stay stuck, stay helpless, and just point fingers? It's a choice. At the end of the day, it's a choice. And it's up to you to make that choice. This could be a time right here where you can make a beautiful change, where you can be aligned with truth. And I'm seeing a lot of masculine energy coming through here. So it's telling us like we need to take responsibility over ourselves. Oftentimes that means we have to do something difficult. We have to go against the grain in some way so that you can be led towards the truth and so that you can be completely autonomous, like have full autonomy over yourself and be fully responsible over yourself. Because oftentimes when we're blaming people or pointing the finger or we like stay a victim, we choose to stay in a victim mentality, it's because like we're too afraid to take that responsibility. Like it's easier to just like push that onto somebody else and be like, well, I'm like this because of you. And that's that. You know what I mean? Which brings me back to like that example I was giving with the astrology in the beginning of the video, because it's like, you know, Scorpios or Geminis, they get like a bad rep, right? So it's kind of saying like, well, I'm a Scorpio. What do you expect? I'm an asshole. Like we're assholes. You know, I'm a Scorpio. Like that can't change. You know, it's like that's not an excuse. You're blaming something. You know what I'm saying? You can't be like, well, I'm a Scorpio. That's just how I am. It's like being able to transcend that, like learn the lesson, of course, know yourself and what you are, more like predisposed to, like what energies you're more predisposed to, but also learn to transcend it, learn, the lesson, and don't let that influence you anymore. Because again, it's all part of the bigger picture. Again, that Sagittarius energy coming through. It's part of the bigger picture. It was part of your karma to have like that parent, for example, in my situation, or what, apply this however you see fit. But it was part of your karma. If it happened, it was because it was part of your karma. And it was like, it needed to help you in some way learn this. It was a lesson that your soul needed to learn, and that's how your soul chose to learn it. So it's not a matter of blaming people. It's like everything plays its role, and understanding how it plays its role. Understanding like what function it had in your life. What was that karma there? What is it that you needed to learn? What is it that you need to transcend? And taking responsibility and doing it. And burning away that which does not serve, that which you see is keeping you stuck and stagnant, instead of just being a victim to it, It's ultimately a choice that you have to make so that you can learn to be like strong within yourself, and you're not like held back by your circumstances or, the things that have happened to you. You can overcome, you can persevere. You can break free. You are not a victim. You don't have to be a victim to this. It's just a matter of perspective and how you're looking at it, how you're perceiving it. So something else I'm seeing here is that some of you guys may need to have a conversation. Maybe like if you have a conversation and you communicate, your feelings or whatever, like maybe that can really go a long way right now. I feel like this could have to do with like family stuff, which is probably why those examples were the ones that were, that I thought of to give. But yeah, I think this could be a really good time for beautiful changes to happen, where you're like at that crossroads of, am I going to take responsibility over myself and my life and who I am and how I show up? Or am I going to play victim to my circumstances, to what happened to me, to what I was subjected to? So of course the examples I gave, like they weren't like super like heavy examples, because I know that maybe for some of you guys, like it's way heavier than that, where it's like what happened to you and what you were subjected to was way heavier. But I'm not seeing like any abuse here. That's up to you. Like that's up to you and your own discernment. Like and this is what this card is showing us here, this Emperor card. It's like you have to make boundaries. Like if you really feel like, no, like I can't forgive because I was straight up abused. What happened to me should have never happened to any child, or whatever the situation. You are totally within your right to feel how you feel. And then you have to move accordingly. You have to say like, okay, well, then that means I have to make boundaries. Like, I will not let you treat me like this, or I can't be in your life, or you can't be in mine. Whatever it means for you, it's like having the discernment and communicating it, communicating your boundaries, communicating what you will tolerate, what you will not tolerate. But I'm seeing here predominantly like that it would be so beneficial to forgive, and to know that there's a bigger picture. You know what I mean? Like this, a lot of these things come from past life stuff, and we're doing like past life healing. And as long as you understand that, like if you can see the bigger picture and have compassion and be able to forgive, you forgiving your parents or however this is resonating for you. Maybe you're going to decide like, no, I don't want that in my life. I need to cut that out. That is dragging me down, and it's abusive and it's toxic, and I want it far away from me. And if that is the conclusion that you end up with, then you're valid in that too. And that's still you taking responsibilities and standing your ground and being in your power. But I think communication here is important. And Spirit is saying like, you're ready for this. Because it's like you're at a crossroads right now. Those of you that are here tuning in, like we're finding ourselves at a crossroads. It's like, which way are we going to go? You know what I'm saying? Are we going to take responsibility, or are we going to play victim? Are we going to stay a victim to what happened to us, to life's circumstances? Because we always have the power to like rise up from anything, from anything. I promise you we do. We are so strong, so resilient. And it's like, I'm not trying to say like that you need to take that on by yourself, you know? That's why therapy is a thing. Psychologists, there are people, you know, experts that can help. And it's just like a matter of you finding like the resources and knowing like, okay, this is my situation. Who do I go to for this? Like, who do I go to for help? And knowing like you can't just stay stuck here. No one's coming to rescue you. You're your own hero, you know? You have to really look at the things that make you feel insecure, helpless, like your hands are tied, like you have no control, you have no power. Like you do, you always do. And it's up to you to look that straight in the face and take responsibility over it and transcend it and liberate yourself from it. And once you can successfully do that, like that's a huge celebration. That's a huge win. You know what I mean? Because then you broke the chains. Maybe then it's something that you're no longer going to be passing down. You learned it. So it's like it's no longer going to be passed down. It dies with you. You ended it. Or it's just something that you liberated yourself from, that you freed yourself of. It's no longer your karma. You cleaned it up. You know what I mean? You purified it. And that's a huge win. Again, huge reason to celebrate. And Spirit is saying like you're ready for it. If you're here and you're receiving this message and you're watching this, it's because you're ready for it, okay? You're ready to hear this. You have the awareness and you're in the position now to make it happen for yourself, to be victorious over this, to rise above, and to truly, really step into your power and to become the king or queen of your castle. Okay, you guys? That was such a good message. Of course, if you want to see how this is going to be affecting you more specifically, like what area of your life this could be playing out in, just check where Sagittarius is in your birth chart. And I feel like you could be seeing some major progressions in that area of your life in 6 months' time. Of course, if you do the work and you take responsibility and you do what you have to do. Okay, you guys. I truly hope that message served you. As always, I offer personal readings if you would like to dive deeper into your specific situation. If you ever feel you need more guidance, more information, I'm here for you. All you have to do is email me and I'll send you the details regarding the readings that I offer, but I'm open to, I'm flexible. So if there's something in particular that you have in mind, I can work with you and we can kind of decide like what's best, what reading would be best for you and your situation. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you utilize this energy, take full advantage of it because this is so big. It's like so much progress could be done here with this, which is great. So take good care of yourselves and until next time, bye.